Seems like a long time ago already when those Philadelphia Flyers they actually won 10 games in a row. You guys remember that? Well, they're 1-3-1 since then. A little bit lost in the doldrums, but just a little mini slump. Caleb Weiler and Brian Wright are both here. We're here to talk about this little stretch that they're in, mired in the swamp, I guess, whatever you guys want to call it. We're here to talk about it. So, what are you guys' thoughts? How's it going?
Yeah, skid, slump, deterioration, horrible play, whatever you want to call it. It's been bad the last 5 games. I mean, they won one fantastic game against the Capitals in the shootout, which you never see, and they've lost 4 of their games after that amazing 10-game winning streak. Steve Mason's save percentage is below 9 and 10 again, and it's just a bad time right now to be a Flyers fan. I mean, that 10-game winning streak was great, but it's a what have you done for me lately league, especially with the Metropolitan Division playing the way they are.
Yeah, it's good to be back here after a nice break, but the Flyers are a perplexing team. We were talking before the show that they kind of do the same thing every year. They have a good streak that gets them into the playoffs, usually comes later than this. This year you had the 10-game streak, but they're very predictable in a way because you kind of knew that the after the 10-game win streak that a slump was coming. I was just kind of hoping it wouldn't be right around the Christmas break. And it doesn't help us that, these metropolitan teams, New York, Pittsburgh, Columbus, keep winning, so we can't really gain any ground. But big game tonight against San Jose, so they need to get 2 points.
Yeah, that's the big thing for sure, because they won 10 games in a row, but everybody else in the division was winning, so they weren't really gaining any ground. And now that they're in this little mini slump, now they're losing ground because this division, all they do is keep winning. Blue Jackets, they keep winning. Everybody keeps winning. And now we're losing. Losers. It's terrible. Anyway.
It's terrible. Terrible. That's all. No, I'm just agreeing. It's terrible.
All right. Okay. So biggest reasons for this little 1-3-1 stretch. What do you guys think?
I think team defense. I mean, Sean Couturier came back last night, which is a great bolster to that team defense. But
2 nights ago.
Oh man, I'm losing my
mind. That up.
Every time I say last night, whatever. Against the Blues, Sean Couturier came back, and that's a big bolster to the team's defensive, mindedness, you could say. Corsi 4, exactly. Well, I'm sure we'll get into some Corsi 4 later, but sliding him back into the third line instead of moving him back into his original position on the second line really doesn't help because you're playing him with Nick Cousins and Dale Weiss, and Dale Weiss has just been god-awful this year. I liked the signing before, but it's not too great now. And so instead of slotting him back in the spot that he was in, you're kind of, I guess, getting him back into game shape. But the team's just not playing good defense right now. I mean, Andrew McDonald had 3 or 4 games where he was playing well, and Ivan Provorov made him look better than he was, but he's back to his old Andrew McDonald ways, turning the puck over, not seeing the ice well, just not playing well, good defense. And that's just where the team's struggling right now. I mean, 5 of the 6 goals that the Blues scored were all deflection goals. If you can clear the front of the net so Mason can see those shots, that's a totally different game. The Flyers probably win. And so right now the Flyers just need to get their heads back on the ice playing better defensive hockey instead of just going all out on offense.
Yeah, you're allowed to say that they need to take their heads out of their asses. It's okay. This isn't a PG show.
You can say it for me.
Okay, I just did.
I'll say it. They need to take their heads out of their asses as soon as possible because, like you said, the team defense has been a real issue. And those deflection goals don't happen if you're able to get the traffic out of the way. And I don't feel like they have too many guys back that want to do, that really want to do that. Simmons will do it because he does it on the offensive end. He'll get in there and kind of try to cross-check you so you don't get caught. But this team is just frustrating, and I think like you said, the biggest reason is they're too geared towards trying to outscore you rather than stop the puck. And if we can make an analogy to soccer. I know some don't like soccer, but you can score as many goals as you can. A great example is a team like Liverpool or Manchester City in England who score a ton of goals, but they also give up a ton of goals, so they end up losing games that they shouldn't lose. Same thing with the Flyers. They score a lot, but they can't keep it out of their net.
Yeah, and so you guys are talking about the team defense, and it's been pitiful. And when they do score goals and when they do score in bunches, it's on the power play. Well, right now they're not scoring on the power play. They're 1 for their last 19. They've gone from being the number 1 power play team in the NHL to now number 8. So this little slump has, kind of really strayed them away from that number 1 ranking. The Blue Jackets are by far the best power play team in the league now. So you guys talked about the team defense. Now let's shift to the power play. What's up with that? What's going on? Is it just like a slump and these things kind of happen, or is there something going on with the power play that you guys don't like?
It's hard to explain because I think they're just not churning out power play goals like they were last year. I mean, Gostisbehere hasn't been scoring a lot of power play goals. He's been playing better defensively, but offensively it's not the same. And I think other teams are finally figuring out the way the Flyers like to run their power play. They basically have 3 plays there. It's either a shot from the point from Ghost, a pass from Ghost to Giroux for the one-timer, or Giroux to Jake for a shot, or a pass to Simmons down in the crease. So, it's easy to keep doing that when it's 5-on-4, but teams are eventually going to figure it out, and it seems like they have when they've gone 1 for 19, which is a pretty pitiful 5% on the power play. It's just been tough. I expect them to turn it around. I mean, they're a really good offensive team, and a lot of our players lead in power play points for the season. And so they'll break out of the slump, like slumps happen. But it's definitely going to be rough to see how they're going to do it because they have not been playing well in the power play as of late.
Yeah, and like you said, the slumps are going to happen. You have a 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 games where you don't score a power play goal. But when you're looking at a 1 for your last 19 on the power play, there's something wrong there that needs to be corrected. And I think it has a little bit to do with, you have a potential star player in Gostisbehere who hasn't been the same offensively as he was last year. Last year when he came up, he was clutch. He scored a whole bunch of late game-winning goals, game-winning assists. He hasn't really done that this year. And the Flyers, like Caleb said, they run the same sets essentially out of the power play with Giroux in the left circle and Voracek on the other side and Simmons down low, and they just look for those one-timers where they try to get it down Simmons and he tries to pound it in. But the problem is, much like Chip Kelly in the NFL, eventually other teams figure it out. And it looks like the Flyers' power play has been figured out to this point, so it's up to our fearless leader, Dave Haxtell, to figure out how to correct it.
They got to make some adjustments. All right, let's talk about Couturier's return to the lineup. Missed 16 games, so he's back now. Can you really say they missed him, though? I mean, they had a 10-game winning streak when he was out. But, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on him returning to the lineup?
Yeah, like you said, it's hard to say that the Flyers missed him because they did win 10 games out of the 16 that he missed. I don't think he was a single game of that 10-game streak. But that second line is a completely different line when Couturier is not with them. I mean, Braden Shen, who centered them, is starting in the offensive zone on faceoffs like 67% of the time, which is ridiculous. Like, those are just sheltered minutes. And so when Couturier's out there, he's able to start in the defensive zone more than 50% of the time because they can trust him in that zone. So it's definitely different the way they play that line, and it kind of gives them a one-dimensional feel because Travis Konechny, he's a 19-year-old kid. His defensive game isn't as great as it should be. And Jake Voracek is a big-bodied guy, and he plays defense, but he's not a penalty killer like Wayne Simmons or Claude Giroux or Sean Couturier. So adding Couturier back to that line, hopefully eventually, and bumping Shen down to somewhere else will give that line more of a two-dimensional feel where they can play offense and defense at the same time. So on the scoreboard, maybe the Flyers didn't miss him. In those 16 games, they won 10 out of them, and another one probably 11. And but I think he adds, that extra dimension that the Flyers need for that team defense. So hopefully he can slot back into that 2C spot, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, you like you said, he didn't play a minute of that 10-game win streak, so it's hard to say they really missed him during that streak. But I think that during the St. Louis game, they had him in at the third line spot, like you said, with Weiss and Nick Cousins, and that really doesn't do him any good. You need him to be. They need to put, like you said, they need to put him back in the 2C spot with Voracek and Konechny the way they started the season, because that gives you at least another line of secondary scoring, if you could call Jake Voracek secondary scoring, which he's not really, but he is when he's on that line. But you can't rely on your top line to do all of your offensive work. So putting him back in that spot gives you at least the second line of offensive firepower that you need to kind of break out of this skid.
Okay. Let's get to Travis Konechny now. A healthy scratch tonight. Interesting move from Mr. Dave Hackstall. I don't think you guys like it, right? Well, what's up with this?
Yeah, I think it's an awful move. I mean, there hasn't been much to argue with Dave Hackstall. He's winning games at almost a 60% pace through the first year and a half of his coaching career in the NHL. So he's made some mostly good decisions. I mean, he got the Flyers into the playoffs last year when they had no business being there. But I cannot justify this sitting. I mean, Ghost earlier in the year, he was struggling a lot. Yeah, but Travis Konechny scored 2 assists last night, and he has 13 assists even strength out of his 14. He only has 1 assist on the power play, and not a lot of the Flyers players are producing at even strength. So the fact that Travis Konechny is doing that, it blows my mind that Hackstall decided to sit him tonight. He's calling it a learning experience. I mean, I can understand seeing the game from a different level, but I don't think he needs that. He's been one of the better players on the ice. He goes 110% every night, to use a hockey cliche, and you just don't see him take nights off, to use another hockey cliche. So for me, there's no point, because they're sitting Lubimov tonight in favor of Boyd Gordon. Raffles back in, and Radko Gudas is out with an injury. So we're going to see, a slower defense tonight with Andrew McDonald and Nick Schultz in there, because Radko Gudas is going to be sitting, and you need that speed with Konechny, and I just don't see why they're sitting him tonight. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. You can make a case that sitting Gostisbehere while it caused Twitter to explode, you could make a case that was at least a thoughtful decision, because he had been struggling, and I guess Hackstall wanted Ghost to sit and learn and take a night off, get out of his own head, all those cliches. But this scratch for Konechny, I don't understand, because he's been one of your better players all year. He's got the hands. He's got the speed. He doesn't look like he's overmatched out there, even though he's only 19 years old. You have given the stats. So I don't think that this helps him at all, and it certainly doesn't help the team. What are you doing, Dave? Come on.
I started chuckling because you were using the words learning experience, and it immediately made me think of the Nelson Aguilar situation for the Eagles. Like I don't see Konechny fumbling the puck when the puck goes on his stick. Like, come on.
Yeah, and it's not
he doesn't drop the puck.
Okay.
It's not like it took 14 weeks for Travis Konechny to pot a goal. I mean, Nelson Aguilar just caught his first freaking touchdown all year. It's ridiculous. And it just frustrates me so much that Travis Konechny has been one of the best players at 19 years old playing on the second line. And for some whatever reason, Dave Hackstall decides to sit him tonight. I think it's an awful decision, but then again, I'm sitting here in my room talking about the Flyers instead of coaching them. So maybe he knows something we don't.
And if they go out and win tonight, we look like assholes.
Well, I already look like one. So.
But you're talking about Nelson Aguilar. At least you can make a case for sitting Nelson Aguilar, because he sucked the entire year and he can't line up on the line of scrimmage properly. Konechny has not shown you any of those kind of on-ice brain farts that Aguilar has on a weekly basis.
Could it possibly be his defense why he's sitting? Because you guys were talking about how the team defense has been struggling. Well, Konechny isn't exactly known for being a great defender right now. So could that be part of the reason why he needs to sit and learn how to play some defense?
I mean, the problem is, I'm assuming Braden Shen is going to slot into that second line left wing role, and they're going to bump Couturier back up to that 2C spot. I mean, I don't know what the lines look like for tonight, but that would be my guess. And Braden Shen's not better defensively than Travis Konechny is, and he's 25 and Konechny's 19. So I don't think that's why. It's really hard to justify this on the end of Hackstall.
It will be interesting to see if any of the old beat writers have the cojones to ask him that question after the game.
Someone better.
Especially if they lose.
Somebody will.
Yeah, it'll be Pinocchio.
All this negative. Actually, by the way, Tim Minacci is a really nice guy. Because he gets all this hate on Twitter. It's kind of funny. But all right, so it's funny because we're talking about all this negativity surrounding the Flyers. I mean, they won 10 games in a row, and now all of a sudden there's this little stretch, and we're talking bad on them. Well, when you compare their records to the last couple Christmas breaks, so 2 years ago they were 14-14-6. Last year 15-12-7. This year a bump to 20-12-4. So what the hell are we complaining about?
I guess we're complaining about the fact that this Flyers team has shown flashes of brilliance. Obviously, with the 10-game winning streak, I mean, they won one game 6-5, and they won a couple other games where they let up a few goals in the game, but they fought back. And in the last 5 games, they haven't been doing that. And it's hard to see. I mean, it's easy to see where they're going wrong. They let up 6 goals against the Blues, and the Blues are no slouch of a team, but neither are the Flyers. They had similar records, so it's really just frustrating because you know what they're capable of. Yeah, they're not going to win every single game for the rest of the year. But if they can win 3 out of 5 games, 4 out of 6, something like that for the rest of the year, they're going to put themselves in a good position. And more than anything, it's frustrating that they went on a 10-game winning streak, but lo and behold, the Blue Jackets are on a 14-game winning streak, and all the other teams in the Metropolitan Division are playing ridiculously well right now. So they're still 5th in the division. And while they're holding a playoff spot, even with games in hand, it doesn't look as pretty as it should after a 10-game winning streak. So that's the other reason why it's frustrating.
You want to know why we're complaining? Because this is Negadelphia, and we demand excellence.
And you are the epitome of Negadelphia.
I look on the bright side some of the time. But here's why we're complaining about it, is because through some of the parts of early in the year and through that 10-game winning streak, they have shown you that they are capable of being a very good hockey team. And so, the 10-game winning streak wasn't going to last forever. Okay, you lose to Dallas. In my personal opinion, I don't think the Dallas Stars are a very good team, so I was disappointed to see them lose the 10-game streak against Dallas, even though they have some decent players. But then they have games like that game against New Jersey where they're already on Christmas break, even though it's the last game before the break, and they just don't even show up and they get whacked 4-0. That is why we're complaining, because they are so up and down from time to time.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. We're about to head out. I'm about to go out. So let's do final thoughts. Let's get out of here. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good game tonight. I mean, the Flyers and the Sharks are separated by 1 point, I believe, so they both have very similar records. And it's going to be a good game tonight. I mean, the Sharks have huge star power, and Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, and then Logan Couture and Brent Burns, who's just been on a tear all season. So the Flyers are going to have to play 10-game winning streak style Flyers hockey tonight if they're going to win. And hopefully Steve Mason can come out and play a good game. But the Sharks are a very good team. It's going to be tough for the Flyers to pull out 2 points tonight.
Yeah, it will be interesting because you don't see the Flyers out in San Jose that often. So it's kind of hard to see how they match up with each other. But I think it's going to be a good game. I don't know if I would say they are going to win. I would say maybe 1 point, maybe a shootout loss. But it should be fun. And I'm going to go sit in front of my TV and prepare for JoJo to dominate the Denver Nuggets before we get to some hockey. So.
Word. Yeah. My final thought, well, Temple football, geez, you want to talk about laying an egg against Wake Forest in your bowl game. Oh, that was pitiful. Second final thought, Corsi 4. Awesome.
Corsi 4.
Here's another final thought for you, since you watched the Temple bowl game. That game is exactly why I hate all the bowl games that aren't the playoffs, because they're fucking meaningless, and you have a month between games. And if that game was played a week to 2 weeks after the end of the season, Temple would have waxed them because Wake Forest sucked.
They do suck. They had no business losing that game. They did.
Because there's a month in between the end of the season and this game.
I love bowl games, by the way.
I don't follow college football.
I love them because you get to watch, some prospects that you normally don't get to watch on an everyday basis. Although I do think it's getting ridiculous now because there's 41 bowl games. I mean, here's the problem with the bowl system. When you have a team like 5-7 North Texas in a bowl game, that is a problem. That is a huge problem.
Yes, it is.
Yes, everybody gets the participation.
Yeah, everyone gets a participation award in college football. Yippee freaking ki-yay. It's awful. All right, here's our ribbon to get out because we're leaving now because this is a hockey show. This isn't a college football show. I don't know. I started it. I know. My bad. But yeah, we're out. Caleb Weiler, Brian Wright. I'm Adrian Fedke. I did not dye my beard, by the way. It's natural. Peace out.